it looks nice.
Is that all right? Oh,
Yeah,
radiator.
you've got like your shoulders lit and your face isn't. Is that what you want?
Yeah. No, I'm just sweating again by this bastard radiator. I'm like turned out up top, but broken down the bottom. Like pajama bottoms on.
Oh, I've got the same. I've got my TK Maxx. Like,
Oh yes.
I don't get thrush, but if anything was going to make it happen, it's these leggings.
No,
Right, should we start?
We
no,
shall.
let's waste the time.
Welcome
I'm
to
never even
Welsh
gone.
Wednesdays with me, Kiri, Pritchard-McLean, and with Katie Gill-Williams.
It's my turn this week, isn't it? It feels like a big subject. I felt the weight of responsibility because we're going in with Dewi Sant. Dydd, Gwyl, Dewi Sant, which is like Festival of St David's Day. In Wales, it is a big celebration, and it's in recognition of the patron saint of Wales. What do you think about like national holidays as a vibe? Do you like them or?
Well, yeah, this is the weird thing is I feel like every other patron saint feels like their day has way more reverence. Obviously, St. Patrick's Day, everyone has lent into the vibe because they're like, oh, everyone gets drunk. I think St. Andrew's Day feels like it's observed. St. George, obviously, like, it feels like there's some reverence to that. But I feel like St. David's Day, I don't know that people outside of Wales always know it's going on, whereas I think people outside of the other countries know that those days are going on, in particular St. Patrick's Day.
St. George's, I don't remember ever celebrating that growing up, mostly because carrying that flag around, you just look like a rampant racist. So I've actually got a picture of my mum and dad from, they must have been doing like a VE Day or something. Is it VE Day? Is that venereal? Is it VE Day?
VE Day is like the end of the war.
But it's just VE, isn't it? Yeah. I was just wondering if I've just said the wrong thing. So they must have been
venereal disease. That's there's no flag for that.
So it's just V Day.
No, it's VE Day, but VD Day would be to celebrate venereal disease.
Oh gosh, that's what I've been doing all this time. Celebrating a bit of chlamydia. So VE Day, I think they must have been celebrating that, but there's just loads of Union Jacks. My dad's got a Union Jack hat, and my mum just decked out in the full flag, and I'm like, oh god, they just look like militant nationalists. They weren't. Dydd, Dewi Sant, I think you're right, in Wales it's a big deal. And I know that in 2006 there was a big petition taken to Parliament, and Tony Blair in 2007 said no, they're not going to mark it as a national holiday. And then I think Gordon Brown kind of said, let's do a UK day, and everyone's like, what is that? That's just shit, we're not having it. But to me, I was like, oh, come on, it's a day off to day off. I'll celebrate venereal day if I get a day off work. Just go for it.
I think if you get VD bad enough, you could probably have a few days off work, or at least antibiotics.
I heard this about in Disneyland Paris every year, they do a big, massive celebration. Dewi Sant knew someone he was called Dennis of Paris, just a really shit name, Saint Denis of Paris. Like, I wonder if that's why they celebrate him in Disneyland, because of his links with Dennis.
Oh yeah, maybe Dennis. Maybe also they're like, we can't sell Dennis keyrings. No one's buying a Dennis t-shirt. Dewi's quite nice though. Let's whack him on and let's have a festival for him.
Terrible name for a saint.
Yeah, no, it's like having like a Kevin, like patron saint of divorces.
Dewi Sant was the grandson of the king of Ceredigion, and his mum, Saint Non, gave birth to him in a storm on the top of a hill.
Oh yes, that's it. Yeah, which is so evocative, isn't it? The idea that, like, also the Welshest thing ever, just being born cold in a storm. Like, oh yeah, of course.
There's not much known about him until like the 12th century, when I think he was canonized by one of the popes. I think he came from royalty, descended from royalty. His mum was Saint Non, and his dad, oh god, what was his dad's name? I think he was a prince of Powys. So they say he descended from royalty, which is interesting because he went on to live his life very simply and kind of rejected anything that was vivacious or his monasteries that he set up. I think he was responsible for 12 monasteries from Brittany all around the UK as well and across the world, were led in encouraging people to live very simple lives. I think he made them all only drink water and eat bread with salt on, which sounds quite nice actually.
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. I remember when I was really skint as a student, I'd have like mayonnaise wraps, and my mate, when he was really skint, used to have salt and pepper sandwiches. So maybe that was a miracle, making a student loan last for like a year.
So when he travelled round, he had this really opulent sapphire that he took to the cathedral in Glastonbury, because he didn't believe in kind of having that amount of opulence, and it was held in the altar there, like really held safely in this ornate decorative kind of casket thing. But guess who bloody stole it? Give you one guess.
Henry VIII.
He's back.
I know it seems like someone who wants to have a simple life to get rid of a sapphire, but there's also something very like braggy McBragface about like, do you know what, I can't have this sapphire around me, I'm just going to take it to Glasgow and leave it in the cathedral there. There's something just a bit sort of like, all right babes, everyone's got a sapphire about it.
I think as well, he must have told someone for it to be passed down. It's like, you know, those people who like give a sandwich to someone who's homeless and then it's straight on their Facebook profile and you're like...
Yeah, and then, like, it makes you think, doesn't it? He was so grateful and you're like, just do the act without getting all the reward for it. Yeah.
I know, but I on my last payday, I was just in such a good mood and buzzing, and I paid for the car behind me, their Starbucks at the drive-through. I had to put it on my Twitter. Crumble.
I know about it because you also screen grabbed that tweet and put it on your Instagram.
So anyone who followed his monasteries and like essentially became monks under his guidance, he expected them to do the same, and he would never allow them to refer to like a religious text or scripture as my book. He would never allow them to use that terminology or anything like that. So he was, in that way, yeah, he was very pious and humble.
Well, pious and humble or boring.
Yeah, teetotaler, that's what they say about him.
Bit of a killjoy. Do you know what I mean? If you knew someone who was like, he's a vegetarian teetotal who doesn't, you know, like, insist that everyone around him drinks water and eats salt butties, you'd be like, oh, well, I can't wait to go over to Dewi's and get, yeah, what a great holiday that'll be.
No wonder they don't want a national holiday. Just like, now work. I think it's one of the worst traits ever. If you pull someone up on the shit they pulled the night before, that to me is unforgivable.
Yeah, when someone wasn't drinking or wasn't drinking as much and they go, well, you were having fun last night, you want to be like, if this is a war, you'd be killed for being a snitch. So just really think carefully about what you're going to say to me for the next few minutes. Don't be vague, and then I find out that either I've been like, because it could be like, oh, you sung karaoke about out of tune, or it could be like, you wanked off a pig in the taxi. So like, don't give me, because at the moment I'm flip-flopping between all the things I could have possibly have done.
What I didn't realise was, to be a saint, you had to have performed miracles. There's this section on Wikipedia about his best miracles, which made me think like, he must have had some shit ones then to have like a top trump. Like he maybe only cured one eye of someone or something like that. So basically he was giving this rousing speech on this, like, to this big crowd in Sir Benfro, Pembrokeshire. And the crowd at the back couldn't see him. So he raised the hill that he was stood on, and that was his miracle, so he could be heard. And then a dove kind of appeared on his shoulder. And the guy who trained him, oh gosh, what's this priest's name? Paulinus, I think. He trained him because Dewi Sant healed his vision. So that was another one of his miracles. So, I mean, that's going to be like bonus marks for your tutor if you couldn't make them not blind anymore. So yeah, so basically he was a teetotaler, very righteous, very smug, but could raise a hill. Probably just did a bit of graveling, who knows? Anyone can do that. But I think it's funny.
think that he like crowd surfed, and it's a metaphorical hill, so the people at the back couldn't. I think they raised him up on his shoulders, and I think it's a metaphor.
You've spoken like a true Christian there, Kiri.
Thanks so much.
They love a metaphor.
Was it the bit about wanking off the pig in a taxi? Dewi Sant in school would be the kind of thing where you would like draw a card with the daffodil on to take home to mum and dad. Because I went to a very English school, so that's sort of the extent of it. Whereas I think if you went to a Welsh school, it would be full. The girls would dress up in their like stovepat, what they called, like the hats.
Yeah, like one of these.
Yeah, like one of those, and then with a shawl. And the boys would dress up just sort of in like flat caps and little tweed shorts, like they're auditioning for Oliver. And maybe you would eat sort of traditional food, like, you know, there would be like lava bread and things like that you would try. And yeah, probably sing some songs in Welsh. And people would wear leeks and daffodils. So it's also sort of tied into like the spring, like turning into spring as well. So there's lots of the symbolism that goes with Wales. Leeks, daffodils, sheep is like spring related stuff.
But the leeks thing is because he told soldiers to wear a leek on their it was a beret to distinguish them from their enemies in battle. So there's just this tiny little leek that they would just have on their hat. But I thought it was because he was vegetarian. Just really liked leeks. I like the idea of celebration and the symbolism that comes from him. And yeah, I think maybe there is something nice about the spring and the awakening. And it almost feels like as well, maybe Wales has been just stuck in this perpetual spring where it's almost on the brink of blooming. And maybe now's the time. With the spirit
green shoots, isn't it? Green shoots, grassroots movements. It does all make sense. Also, I think that Dewi Sant, if my memory serves me correctly, is the only one of the UK saints to be born in the country he's the patron saint of. So he was born in Wales, whereas Patrick wasn't born in Ireland, and George is Turkish, and Andrew, I don't think, was born in Scotland. So I think he's the only one who is from the country he's the patron saint of, which is quite cool. Should we chat in Welsh? O rwan, dwi isio cael sgwrs amdan Dewi Sant. Okay? Dwi ddim yn gwybod lawr o pethau amdan Dewi Sant achos yn ysgol dwi ddim yn dallu dydd Dewi Sant, ond dwi'n dallt ydy dydd i dallu Dewi Sant a gwisg dillad hen ffash a gwisg cennin neu cennin peder. Yeah?
Dwi ddim yn gwybod cennin.
Cennin is leek.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And cennin peder, Peter's leek, is daffodil.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. Gair, great. Yeah, cennin peder. It's always. I'm going back to your thing. I do know farm words. If it grows or shits, I know the word for it. A dwi'n meddwl mae'n ddiddorol I dysgu amdan Dewi Sant achos dwi'n meddwl mae'n cool I clywed am pobl sy'n gwneud pethau hynod fel dweud I lawer o pobl a y tir wedi codi, wedi'r godi, to rise up. Yeah, what else do I want to say? Mae'n nice I clywed amdan hanesyddol pobl, historical person, I hanesyddol, dwi'n meddwl, pobl sy'n vegan neu vegetarian.
Saint fel ti, Kiri.
What's that mean?
A saint like you.
Oh, I thought you said Saint Velty, and I was like, who's she?
So what I think you said was you didn't know too much about Dewi Sant because in school you celebrated him through symbolic things like what they wore, the leeks, Kennin, and then you said a word, hynod.
Yeah, remarkable. So yeah.
So and you like the idea of people coming together.
I like the idea about hearing about historical people who've done remarkable things.
Iawn, okay, yeah. Be arall?
A y tir wedi codi.
Yeah, and the be 'di tir?
Land, TIR, land, tir.
Yeah.
You know the rules if it grows or shit. If it's a farm word, I know it.
So be dwi isio deud ar ôl y clywed ti'n gwybodaeth amdan Dewi Sant, dwi'n meddwl mae'n siomedig achos yn y ysgol y plant yn dathlu Dewi Sant drwy symbols, popeth fel hon, and ddim yn really cael gwybodaeth amdan really, a be naeth o'n deud. A dwi'n meddwl mae'n dangos sut drist mae'n dosbarth yn y ysgol amdan hanes Cymru.
No, I think I'm following. You're saying that, are you saying that like kids in school they learn about the symbols but they don't learn about what he did? And that's a bit sad because the miracles are like the important thing, right? And so you're saying it's sad that you don't know what he did necessarily.
I think I was trying to say it shows like a real lack of what's taught about Welsh history in schools, which is really siomedig. Was it that?
Siomedig, yeah, but siomedig.
Disappointing.
I should know that.
Basically, your Welsh sentence was really disappointing. No, I was saying it was disappointing to hear you say that you knew about all of this, but not a lot about this. And I think it's it's a bit testament to how like history is taught about Wales in schools. You know, even in England though, like some of the stuff that we had to learn in history was so shit. But yeah, I think because mae'n ddiddorol really. And hefyd, dwi ddim yn siŵr os be dwi'n credu amdan y stori. Dwi'n meddwl roedd yna dyn, naeth o'n wneud pethau hyfryd, cymryd pobl gyd yn gilydd, ond ddim yn cure the blind.
You're totally right. Dwi'n meddwl mae'n bwysig I cael syniad o pobl sy'n gwneud hynod pethau hynod. I think it's important to have the idea that people can do remarkable things, and that can be as much of their story as what they actually did. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, Dwi'n cytuno. Also, maybe sometimes we put too much on these big miracles that people perform, but sometimes it's the simplest, like, most beautiful things. You know, someone who back to the yes, exactly that. Someone who once, on their payday, paid for the car behind them's coffee, and that is how we conclude Dewi Sant, pawb.